Detroit Lions fans, it was belt to ass. It was belt to ass. Like I had a little video. It's late. It's late. I got it. Well, it'll get up this week. But that the Selly was crazy. They watched the podcast. I obviously they watched the podcast. Listen, it wasn't pretty. We're not gonna get in here and talk negative, but we did enough to get it done. Coach did what he needed to do, as he said he would. He would bring the troops. Steve, after this victory, how are you feeling?
Tired. I told you guys, go to bed. All right. If you got to be up early, if you don't have to, jump on here at 11 o'clock at night and do a show for the morning, go to bed. Enjoy your sleep. Get your 8 hours. Sleep deep. 4 a.m. comes early. It's going to be a long night for a meaningless game. So, I mean, yeah, I'm glad we won. We just keep setting that record higher for franchise wins. But ultimately, this was a game I just kind of sat back and watched. You can ask my wife. Usually, we have to give the dog a little extra medication to keep her calm because she knows when the Lions are playing, tensions are going to be high. But this game, we just sat back and enjoyed it, man. I mean, wasn't all pretty, but I don't know what you guys were expecting. Okay. I checked Twitter during the games and I see a lot of overreactions. Dan Campbell said, I don't give a damn if you have 700 yards, as long as I beat you by one. That's exactly the model for the rest of the season. So for everyone, I saw the tweets about Alex Anzalone and needing him back. Yeah, we need Alex Anzalone back. I'm not going to say we don't, but I'm not going to say that Jack Campbell played bad. I'm not going to say that Aaron Glenn coached bad. Like, it just is what it is, guys.
I'm in a different boat, man. I wasn't meaningless football. I thought it was meaningful football. I learned a lot tonight. I feel like I learned a lot tonight.
I mean, just standing wise, it was meaningless.
Yeah, I get it from a standings situation, but as I was looking at the game, I was seeing some breadcrumbs from the Buffalo Bills games. I was seeing some let's get these running backs matched up with our linebackers. I seen a little bit of that. I think Isaac Garendo or Garandino or however you say his last name.
Garendo
had a nice long catch. There were situations to where they didn't go to him, but they let him run the linebacker out of the box, and then they went to Kittle. And obviously, I'll give a better rendition after I get a chance to really break down the film. But they were putting us in situations where they know that we would go man to man, and then trying to take advantage of the man to man matchups with whoever they thought had a mismatch, and they did a good job of it, man. Ricky 50 Cent Pearsall, man, he
Ricky
had
Ricky.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, he had a day today, man. I can't knock it, man. He was running around doing his thing today. So I see some things that we definitely need to clean up. Like we always say, we're not going to get on here and get negative, but there's some things that we need to work on. Pass rush, man, that was another one. We were having a hard time getting to Brock Purdy. So those are all things that I feel like are things that we're going to look at. We'll probably talk about tomorrow and the following few days, just getting ready for these Minnesota Vikings. But all in all, we are the team that I think that we are, man, in the sense of we're just going to find a way to get stops when we need to. And if this is the type of football that we have to play moving forward, we're just going to be bend but don't break. We've done it before when we were looking at guys like Kendall Vildor every single week, man. So I'm not worried anyway that it goes. I do think that Alex Anzalone is going to offer some things, but I feel like we're not showing all of our cards. I feel like we get little splashes of certain things, and then he goes away from those things, whether it's Ben or whether it's Coach Glenn, man. They're both doing it. Instead of just giving us the whole shebang, just giving us bits and pieces, man. I think some things are getting saved for those Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs, which I don't blame them, man. Steve, how are you feeling about it? I know that it wasn't necessarily the most important game necessarily, but how are you feeling about some of the things that you seen schematically, personnel wise? Just is there anything that stood out to you as something you're worried about or something that you're excited about?
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Like standing wise, this game just didn't mean much to me. But I mean, I can sit back and dissect a game, and what I thought stood out to me was Jamison Williams. It's easy to have the cute, sexy trick play, and as soon as he touched that ball, hey, he's gone. See you later, touchdown. Let's get the kickoff team out there, get ready for some defense. But I like what I saw. It feels like J-Mo's kind of evolving into more of a pass catching, route running type wide receiver. All right. He's not just that burn and go, try to beat you deep. I saw him kind of work in the middle of the field today, hitting some out routes, some in routes. I thought he was used very well. I thought Sam Laporta had a big game. You know what? Well, I'm gonna say this. I love our running back room still without David Montgomery. I thought Craig Reynolds and Jamar Jefferson ran well. They might not have had a huge workload. I know they're going behind the best offensive line in football. And you could pretty much put little Will back there and he might bust off a 16, 17-yard run, maybe. I don't know, but I like the way our running backs run. There's a lot of things we could sit and dissect, but the biggest thing to me was Jameson Williams. I think he had, 5 catches, 77 yards, a touchdown, along a 41, targeted 8 times. Jared Goff kept looking his way. Sometimes he spiked the ball. I think he slipped on one late in the game, a little pop screen in the flat. I think he fell on that one, but I like JMO, man. He's turning into a weapon.
Yeah, I think JMO was definitely a weapon, man, and I love what he does, man. But when I look at this running back room, I'm in a different boat as well when it comes to that because I don't like Jamar Jefferson and how he looked tonight.
Really?
I thought that he didn't look he didn't offer me much tonight for positivity from what I was looking for, man. I liked him the week before, but and by liked him, I was lukewarm on him. It wasn't, anything super crazy. And Craig Reynolds is just Craig Reynolds, man. He runs hard. He'll give you one move, he'll run aggressively downhill, he'll break a tackle here or there, and he'll get whatever you block. I mean, that's what he is. But hot take. And guys, feel free to come for me in the comments. Feel free to tell me I'm a dummy, I'm an idiot. I can take all of it. Hot take from Will right now. And I know that Saquon Barkley is alive. Jahmyr Gibbs is the best running back in the NFL. Period. Jahmyr Gibbs is the best running back in the NFL. Period. Jahmyr Gibbs is the best running back in the NFL. What he can offer you in the passing game, because it's crazy. And it's still tip of the iceberg. We're tip of the iceberg. You can tell that it's not something that's game planned for. That dude can play receiver. He can play slot receiver. Like he's a problem. When they ran that H-back post, buddy, like if you start to scheme him, like again, I've said it since we drafted him. I get Marshall Faulk vibes from Jahmyr Gibbs. The only difference is he's faster than Marshall Faulk. As is equally as intelligent. If you talk to Coach Saban about him, he talks about how he came to Alabama. He was there for a season, was only there for a couple of weeks and already had the playbook digested. You hear the Detroit Lions, you hear Coach Montgomery, you hear Coach Johnson talking about him and how intelligent he is and how fast that he caught on. You watched him for that Baltimore Ravens game. He's never been the same running back since. It clicked to him, and he's been getting better and better. Listen, I said it once, I've said it twice, I've probably said it 87 times already since Chuck Bruce, since David Montgomery's got hurt. You other opposing teams should be praying that David Montgomery comes back so this guy can get less touches because he's an absolute monster, man. He's a monster. I think that he's the best running back in the league. I think that he offers some things in a passing game that Saquon Barkley can't offer. And then where he doesn't have in power, he has in finesse, and he has a little bit of power, and he has patience. There's just nothing that Jahmyr Gibbs can't do on a football field. Man, he's got me so pumped up after watching him play today against a team like the San Francisco 49ers that had Nick Bosa out there, that had Fred Warner out there. Man, that dude he's something special, man. And I'm so happy that we reached and selected a running back when we did.
Hang on, whoa. You and I did not reach, William. You and I did not reach. Let's set the record straight. Let me say something to you, William. I love you.
Talk to me.
I respect you.
Yeah,
you're one of my favorite people in this world to talk football with. But are you nuts?
I get it, man.
Listen,
I hear you, but I'm not.
I think that Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry are in a league of their own, and that's fine.
You're not going to put them at slot receiver.
No, hang on a second, my son. I'm gonna get there for you. but the main difference, what I love about Jahmyr Gibbs is he's not our whole offense. We don't have to give him the ball 30 times. All right, now I'm not saying, when I was talking about the running backs, I was not saying that Jamar Jefferson or Craig Reynolds were on the verge of breaking Eric Dickerson's record or anything like that. But I think they had a good game. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I can't put him in Barkley category yet, but I don't like how other teams, the Giants and the Eagles, have used him. I look at what Jahmyr Gibbs did today with 18 rushes and 4 catches, only touching the ball 22 times for quick math here. What am I at? About 60 some yards, roughly somewhere around there. Yeah, I'll take that. 22 touches, 160 yards. I don't have to put my running back in a position where he's got to pound it up the A gap 30 times. Or I think we could even talk about, he had a huge pass block tonight where he had to go put a Band-Aid on his cheek. I was starting to call him Jameer Nelly. I thought that's where we were where we were going, but I can't say he's better than Saquon yet. I think his ceiling is just as high, if not higher. But I don't want them to use Jahmyr Gibbs like Saquon gets used. Like he's a workhorse. We've talked about it. Once you hit a certain age, those carries from college, the NFL, all those years with the Giants where he was carrying their offense, this year with the Eagle where he's carrying their offense, eventually those numbers will catch up to you in the NFL and you will have a huge drop off. It's going to happen. I think Jahmyr Gibbs will have a much longer career if we keep him on this pace. We just keep him right at that 20, right around that 20 carries, 20 touches per game. I love that. That's a 15, 16-year career right there, I think, in today's NFL with today's science and medicine. Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, the reason why I can put him ahead of guys like Saquon Barkley is simply this. When I'm evaluating a player, I'm looking at what can you do and what can't you do. And then when I look at certain things and I start to put you side by side with other guys, I say, okay, am I going to line up Saquon at slot receiver? I'm not. It's just something I'm not going to do. Could you put him here for a play there? Maybe, right? I'm going to line Jahmyr Gibbs up at slot receiver if I want to on a play and actually get him active reps. There's a world that we could live in where, and Ben Johnson has already said it, why he hasn't done it. I don't know. I don't
think
know
we were
yet.
calling for that after he got drafted. David Montgomery in the backfield, Jahmyr Gibbs as a receiver. Good luck.
Yep.
Good luck. Come out here and stop this.
Yeah, there's a world, and I think it might be just necessity because now we're seeing things out of Jahmyr Gibbs because of necessity that we haven't seen yet because David Montgomery's out, right? And we've tried to use some of these other running backs, and we recognize, hey, these running backs can't produce the same way that David Montgomery could, so we can't utilize them in the same way. We have to give Jahmyr Gibbs some more touches. So in a situation where you got Timothy Patrick, you got Sam Laporta, you got Khalif Raymond coming back, man, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, man, and you got J-Mo, you don't have to necessarily bump him out to play slot receiver if you got Khalif out there. But in the situations where you don't have those guys, he gets an opportunity to show his true full skill set. Right. And I don't think that these other guys have the same skill set that he offers. He'll come up and block in the pass game if you need to. There's literally nothing that he can't do. You can call an A-gap run for him and he can get it done, man. So run inside, run outside, run gap scheme, run zone scheme. Just a absolute dog in a passing game from the short, medium, and long. He can go deep. There's nothing that he can't do on a football field. I feel like he offers more versatility than any running back in the league besides Christian McCaffrey, and I think it's even. So I can't, and his durability so far has shown to be better than Christian McCaffrey. So how do I not rank him the number one running back in the league? And I know a lot of people are going to say that's me being a homer or a slappy or whatever. If he played for a different team, I would be saying the exact same thing, the same way that I respect Saquon Barkley, and he's never been a Detroit Lion. So for me, man, that's just where I sit on it for those reasons. He can offer me anything that I need a running back to offer me. There is no liability for him on the field.
How about our guy Jared Goff tonight? Just another MVP type performance. Maybe deserves a little bit more talk in that category. 26 of 34, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 132.4. Just he's dialed in, and this is the time you want him dialed in. All right, we all know what's coming up on Sunday night. We all know what a zoo Ford Field's going to be. Get through this game. That's what was on my mind. It's like, hey, let's get through this 49ers game without anyone getting hurt, without anyone getting banged up. Had a little scare with St. Brown where he caught a pass on the sideline. He came up limping. I think he might have just had a dead leg for a second. Got back in the huddle, made the next play. It's like, I mean, that was the biggest thing for me is getting out of this game. No injuries. We need all hands on deck for Minnesota. And Jared Goff just playing elite level football right now. I think they put up a graphic during the game that he has the second most touchdowns in Detroit Lions single season history, like 36 or 35. With the way this offense is playing, he could, I wouldn't bet on it. He could tie that against Minnesota with how this offense is playing. To get 5 touchdowns is a big ask. I know he did it against Buffalo. It's not impossible, but I mean, he's right up there in Matthew Stafford's greatest season and correct me if I'm wrong, Matthew Stafford had Kelvin Johnson that year, if I'm not wrong. So
Yeah.
Jared Goff's lethal. Like he's just he's
Oh.
an assassin.
Yeah, Jared Goff, man, he's tough, man. I can't take anything away from him. I think at one point again, he was putting up another night where he was perfect. I think it was 18 for 18 or something. It was up until he had to throw that pass at Jamar Jefferson's feet. You know, the kind of
To save a
get the ball
sack.
out of his hands and not get sacked. So yeah, man, once he gets in rhythm, man, he gets things rolling, man. He's an absolute problem. And like I keep saying, I'm glad he's our quarterback. There is some frustrations when he's out there trying to scramble around. Sometimes I wish he would just throw it at guys' feet instead of trying to hang in that pocket and do his patented spin move. You know,
Playmakers make plays, Will.
yeah, I wish that he would make some more plays with his feet, man. But we can't have it all, man. When it comes down to it, uh, he's the guy for the job right now. He's doing a phenomenal job, man, and I'm thankful for him. Really, this whole offense, man. Sam Laporta really stepped up today. Like you said, J-Mo stepped up. Amon-Ra St. Brown was being Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, the list goes on, man. There is one thing, and this is the last thing that I'm going to harp on offensively that I wanted more of. I just got a little itty bitty teaser of it. And when I saw it, I was drooling. When I,
The two offensive linemen.
oh, baby. Oh, baby.
When I saw
Baby.
73 coming in, I said, "Oh, they're running right up his ass."
When I seen Skip, and because we talked about it in the podcast earlier last week, man, we said, hey, man, I don't know. Is it I love Skip, but we got to get Christian Mahogany involved, man, after what he's shown on tape for, when he started. And that Ben gave us what we were asking for, man. And I think it was only one play, but hey, he was moving bodies. He got bodies on that one play. Him and Skip double teamed the first guy, and then he peeled off and got the next guy. And it was you could tell, man. He got the juice, man. And I need more of it, man.
I think
Man,
we're going to see a lot more of it. All right.
I
It's hard to defend. We've got an elite offensive line, and then you add in Dan Skipper, who's like 6'9", 6'10", something like that, just a massive dude. And then Christian Mahogany, a rookie that they call Dirtbag, who just gets out there and just moves people around, who's fighting his way onto this football field. They're going to have to find a way to keep him off of the football field next year. I don't know what's going to happen with Zeitler, Glasgow, or Ragnow. I don't know. That's a talk for later in the year, but Christian Mahogany is going to have to get on a football field next year. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think Ben kind of showed a little something right there. Like, hey, maybe I just go 7 offensive linemen and you just come out here and you try to block me. And by the way, I'm creative enough to get them the football if I need to. I can report them both as eligible. I don't know. I think that was on purpose for the future, saying, hey, I've shown you guys a lot of trick plays. This isn't even a trick formation. It's just something to get other teams thinking like, hey, this is something we might have to prepare for.
Yeah. Oh, you got to prepare for it. Even after seeing it one time. It's going to be a part of the Minnesota Vikings defensive scheme coming up. They got to prepare for it. They got to prepare for everything. The trick plays, the reverses, everything. The hook and ladders, which I don't know how we keep doing this hook and ladder.
It keeps working. Yeah.
But it's just a problem, man. But man, offensively, man, I love it. Moving on to that defense, man. Steve, how are you feeling?
I don't want to kill my vibes tonight, William. I don't want to talk defense really. I thought it was better in the second half. The first half, I was not pleased. They went down the field. I think I texted you. Brock Montana has not been touched. He's just sitting in the pocket, 40-yard plays, 30-yard plays, blown coverage, pick routes to get guys open. I didn't love it. But it's been but don't break. And every time I only got frustrated one time. It was on the Jalen Reeves-Maben play where Guerrero ran right past him for a huge play. And I was just like, Germ does not belong in coverage. We both I understand that. I don't know how you feel. I think he's a great special teamer, and he's got very, very little to offer defensively. But I understand we were just kind of up against it. That was the only play I really got mad at. But other than that, in the second half, I thought Aaron Glenn was much, much better. I thought our defense was better. Kirby Joseph had 2 picks. I felt like we slowly started to get some pressure on the quarterback. That was what was frustrating me, is we knew that this offensive line for the 49ers was banged up. They're like our defensive line. And I thought that we should have dominated that matchup more. I think like late in the third, early fourth, we started to get after Brock a little bit. We did get a couple sacks, but I don't know. I mean, it's just going to be our Achilles heel all year. I know that, but I didn't like the first three drives. After that, I think our defense kind of settled in. It helped that Jake Moody doesn't know what a field goal post is, or how to kick one, or how to kick a field goal. Michigan man, like, we love him. He's a Michigan kid, but he's trash. All right, like, if he makes a couple kicks, this game might be in overtime. So I don't know, but ifs and buts. If my sister had a dick, she'd be my brother. That's just the way it works. So. How'd you feel
Yeah.
defensively?
First I'll say, man, shout out to Jake, man, for throwing the game, because you're a true Michigan man, and you wanted to make sure that the Lions took care of business. Now go for the rest of this season, and then go into the next season and do your thing and have some success. We're cheering for you here when you're not playing the Detroit Lions. But defensively, we'll get critical tomorrow, but I will say about a few things that I really enjoy. Amik, again, just competing, man. He got us off the field in that big third down situation where he had that pass breakup where he was beat. He was beat. Didn't have an opportunity to be able to turn around. He watched the ball go into the offensive player's hands and knocked it out. And then he did what I keep saying, man. He brought that energy. He talked his talk. He was screaming. He was smart enough to not scream in the guy's face, and he just screamed up in the air, got away from the dude, and just started running the opposite direction, screaming and getting pumped up and getting us juiced. Love that. Obviously, man, this D line making some big plays at the end of the game. They didn't do much all game until it really mattered and we really needed plays. So
Crunch time, baby.
yeah, just finding a way to make plays when we needed it. Ultimately, I tip my hat to that. Jack Campbell, man, just playing like an absolute dog. He had a couple of hit sticks, man. He had a he had a couple of, for you Madden heads, out there, man. He had a couple where he was flicking his thumb, man, and putting some really big hits on people, man. Really enjoyed that, and I'm loving how he's just coming into his own, playing that interior line, that Mike linebacker, and then
Real
and then
quick, he had a hit in the very first drive, and I literally just said, "That's the tone right there."
yeah,
Period.
yeah,
Like, I think it was. I don't think it. I can't remember who it was on. It might have been the running back Garrido. I can't remember, but he just came up, stuffed him loud. There's the tone.
yeah,
Hey, Jack
yeah.
Campbell's here all day.
Yeah, he's a physical guy, man, and I just feel like it just makes sense, man, when they're going up and they're putting the camera on the box, man. You're looking at Brad Holmes, you're looking at Rod Wood, and you're looking at, sitting right there in the front, Chris Spillman. You're like, man, yeah, this is exactly who he wanted. I'm pretty sure he had a hand in this draft pick. He was probably in Brad's ear, like, please, man,
Another
please
reach.
trust me. You know what I mean? Right, exactly. Another reach, man. So it was just nice to see him out there doing his thing, man. And then obviously, the star of the day. Maybe I called it. I don't know. Maybe I
You
did.
did.
Maybe I
You
got to
did.
do it
You
again.
did call at least one. You did say he'd get at least one.
Yeah, I just knew that, man, and I don't know how many Brock Purdy ended up throwing up. So it was close because he didn't play. He probably would have had the 40 passes if he would have played the whole game. He got banged up at the end of the game, but he had 35 pass attempts. So Joshua Dobbs came in for 4, so that would have been 39. So it would have been close to that 40 that we were talking about that he had last week. This isn't the way that the San Francisco 49ers typically play football. And if you're going to throw that ball up 40 times, I'm hard pressed to believe that Kirby Joseph isn't going to get his hands on one or two of them. And he was lucky enough to get his hands on 2 of them. He's just a ball hawk, man. And I'm praying that we have enough money in Detroit to pay this man, because we got a lot of people that we got to pay, but he is one that just we can't let get out of Detroit, man. And I have a hard time reading him, man. He gets excited in those moments, man. I love the Merton Hanks tribute, man. Afterwards in San Francisco,
I
he
didn't
was
know
doing
that.
it.
Hey, that was a little bit
And,
right around like when I started watching football. So
oh man,
Kirby must have been digging through the archives.
man, you could tell he's a football head by that homage, man, to Merton Hanks. As soon as he did it, I looked over at Emily and I said, "Babe, that's Merton Hanks right there." She kind of looked at me, and then they did the tribute to him afterwards. Man, they showed him, they put him up on the brought him up on the TV, a highlight from him doing it, man. But I just feel like that's who we are, man. We're a team of football players. We're a team of guys that love football. We're a team of guys that respect the game. We respect these coaches. We take the opportunity to actually learn the techniques that they're teaching them. We go out and we play hard, we play chippy. Every now and then it leads to a Brian Branch 15-yard penalty, man. Every now and then it leads to a J-Mo 15-yard penalty, and they're not the only ones that get them. There's other guys that have got them throughout the season. It is what it is. That we play with that villain, right? That villain mentality, man. I think I'm starting to understand what some of these guys have in their back pockets, man. They got that dark night, in that back pocket, and sometimes it spills out in a way that we don't necessarily want it to, but it also spills out in those moments where we got to get tough, gritty, dirty in a legal way, right? And get after the football and play tough football and never give up and never get in. This game wasn't going our way at the beginning of it. Like you said, a lot of people were freaking out on Twitter. There was a few people maybe freaking out in my house, not me. I wasn't one of them. But
it's not what
we
I heard.
we find a way. You know better. We find a way, man. Hey guys, if you see me freaking out on Twitter, or if I post something and I'm freaking out, the world better freak out, because I don't freak out too often. So normally if I'm freaking out about something, it's a big deal. But this team just finds a way, man, to just keep fighting, clawing. And I know a lot of people get on here and they think that we're being disrespectful, we're being slappies because we believe in our guys. But the bottom line is, I just know that these guys aren't going to give up. And if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to beat us and come in and just beat us down and take it. And the following week, we're going to come back again if there's a following week. And if there's not a following week, we're going to come back like we have this season and come back bigger, stronger, faster, and more prepared the following season. So again, San Francisco 49ers, we're not that same team that you beat up on last year for a half of football, the most important half of football last season. And the rest of the league is going to have to deal with that.
William, I just can't stress enough how big of a game we got coming up Sunday. Table set. We took care of business in San Francisco, 40-34. Good game.
Undefeated for the 2024 season on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dan Campbell had to break the record for getting a road win for the first time in 2 years. Like, that's where we've come. All right. So for everyone who freaks out on social media, I get it. There's some plays that make you a little anxious, a little nervous. The anxiety gets a little high. Dan Campbell is all you got to think about. All right. This guy's turned this franchise around. Not just him, guys that Will mentioned before, Sheila, Dan, Brad, whoever else I can't remember who we mentioned earlier, but this is just a collaborative effort. It's going to take a while for, I guess, everyone to get comfortable and used to these games, but Minnesota's coming to town. We've been here before. All right. It's a massive game. Everyone knows what's on the line. Trust me. I'm sure even Dan Campbell probably has a little hint of what's on the line. We'll get some more depth on that into those conversations later in the week. Stick around, hit that like button, leave some comments. We'll be back later with another show.